The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
And welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Tier Tuesdays here on the HighLowSports podcast. We appreciate y'all for joining us here as Week 13 has come to an end and time to put these teams into some tiers. It is DJ, joined as always by my co-host Kelsey. And Kelsey, we are more than 3/4 of the way through this thing so far. We've done one every week, and there have been some climbers, some dippers, some flyers, and some that have stayed almost the exact same the whole way.
Yeah, and then there's been some fool's gold, if you will, along the way as well. So yeah, no, we've had a little bit of everything this season. It just continues every single week. It feels like that somebody new decides to either upset you or not. And when I say you, I mean the colloquial you, not necessarily you, unless you were hoping the Colts got out of the playoffs in a top 5 pick, in which case maybe they did make you angry. But yeah, no, it's been a wild season, and it just keeps getting wilder. It feels like. As we get closer to the home stretch. And I mean, we're getting there. We have 7 games left? So
Yeah, I think only 5 or 6. Yeah.
So we're an emergency moment for some teams and trying to make the playoffs, or trying to jettison all hope of getting to the playoff or even winning a game again. It feels like maybe they're trying to get that first pick, but yeah, we'll see how it goes.
With plenty of teams still technically not out of it as well. But we're going to leap right into it now. We're going to take a look at the tiers. We're going to go from the bottom to the top. The bottom, WTF, these teams were even lucky to be included on the tiers. Honestly, if we were part of a demotion system, these teams would have been eliminated weeks ago from even getting on the tiers. But we are inclusive here. Next, we got worse. The Giants, the Commanders, the Jets, the Titans. They're just not good. Like their season's over at this point. It's just like maybe see if something cool happens. Could be worse. Bengals still technically in the thick of it, but I'm still holding on to very little faith. The Cardinals, you are going to have a top. Well, now it's going to be the 3rd pick. You went from a guaranteed number 1 pick to now number 3, starting to look a little decent. Kyler Murray looks honestly even better than he did the last time we saw him healthy, finding the tight ends for the first time in his career too. And Trey McBride's a player. And they got 2 first-round picks this year. Let's not forget that too. So Cardinals could be worse. Bears copy and paste almost the same thing. We'll figure out what they're going to do at quarterback, but you imagine they're going to have a new head coach. You got a bona fide receiver number 1 and a surprisingly decent tight end and some defensive players. So could be worse. Not frisky. Tampa Bay, Chargers, Raiders. Even if they're not technically eliminated, no one's concerned. Like maybe they cover a few of those large, like 9 to 10 point spreads or something ridiculous, but like meh. Frisky teams that are still in the playoff hunt. The Saints are here almost just because they're in the NFC South. You know what? Because they're in the NFC South right now. And maybe famous Jameis season flips the season around. We'll see. All I know is Chris Olave should be getting like 16 targets a game now now that Jameis is in theory. Green Bay. Honestly, Green Bay is very, very close to jumping up a tier right now. They are right on the cusp. If they didn't have such a miserable stretch through October, they might be higher. The Rams, honestly, the same thing. If they could have just stayed a little bit healthier here and there. Broncos, they were rolling, kind of plateaued here a little bit with that loss. The Bills, they're just in it. Like at this point, I don't know what to do with the Bills. Coach of the year. Both of these guys, I don't care which one it is, you split it amongst them. One of them is doing it with a rookie quarterback, a rookie defensive end, and a team that won 11 games the last 3 years combined. One of them is doing it without a quarterback and with a mediocre defense that was at one point was the worst in points allowed, giving up like 32 a game until this last month. At the same time, has no secondary, just released an all-pro linebacker, former all-pro linebacker. Both of them are tied at 7-5 with the Colts holding the tiebreaker for that 7th seed. There is a shot in heck that both of these teams make the playoffs with rookie head coaches, doing it very different ways as well too. I don't care which one it is. You can give coach to either one of them right now or split it amongst them. I know there's Motor City Dan Campbell. I know there's Mike Daniel, all these other guys that are well in it, even Matt LaFleur. You can go any direction. Doug Peterson. What these two are doing is absolutely incredible. These were supposed to be top 10 picks this year, or even on our positive side, like teens for one of them when we were getting positive. Like not where they're at now. Anyway, in the playoffs, but there are concerns. The Browns still sit in the playoffs, but that offense still worries me. Maybe Joe Flacco can steady the ship when he's not coming right off the couch. We'll wait and see. It'd be ironic if he won a Super Bowl with the new Browns after winning with the old Browns, but we'll wait and see there. Atlanta, I still have some concerns overall about. They're the same product. They're in the NFC South, but they're winning it by a game and a half, so they get to go above some of the other teams. But there's still some concerns at quarterback and just overall offensive consistency. Seattle will say exactly what I said about Atlanta, but make it the entire team. Consistency as a whole. That game against the Cowboys, they really had no business losing. They had every opportunity. and then they find ways to lose games, these close games sometimes. Steelers, I don't know what to do with this offense. Now Kenny Pickett's out for a few weeks too. We'll see. Maybe Mitch Trubisky has a renaissance, but
How about Trace McSorley time?
we'll get there. They might move in the tiers if we see Trace McSorley season. Up or down, we'll see. The Vikings, it feels like Josh Dobbs has come back down to earth a little bit. No pun intended. We'll see see where they go moving forward here. And Jaron Hall's healthy again. We'll see what happens. But the return of Jay Jettas, they're sitting at that 7th seed with a little bit of, but not as much leeway as they had a week ago. Florida teams with the quarterback injuries. Glad to see that Trevor Lawrence doesn't look like it's going to be substantial time. It looks like it was a high ankle sprain, so it wasn't any. I was worried for a moment that was a cracked ankle or something gnarly, especially the way he couldn't put weight on it. But it looks like it shouldn't be a season ender. He's not even ruled out for this week yet, weirdly enough. Yeah, and then Florida State screwed. We'll talk more about that on the live show on Wednesday. Definitely don't want to miss that. Contenders. These are the teams. Kansas City for the first time kind of dropping below that top tier. You can't lose the games they've lost. Your Dallas Cowboys, that big win over Seattle is that it's technically not above 500 team, but it's a team we both hold in decent regard. So that gets them slightly above the can crusher status. We're going to learn a lot from them this weekend against the Cowboys or against the Eagles. The Lions, they live up here right now. Like they're gonna win a few in a row, then they're gonna let you down. Right when you get on the train, they'll lose when you think they shouldn't lose, or they'll get smashed by the Ravens. Still legit contenders. Dolphins, same thing. I just want to see them beat an above 500 team, but the way they crush everybody else, they're a notch above everyone else. Good luck guarding Tyreek Hill, who we'll talk about Tyreek Hill tomorrow too. Super Bowl teams. Ravens, best team in the AFC right now. Eagles, best record in the NFL. 49ers, what they've done to two fellow contenders and Super Bowl teams is just absolutely ridiculous. So they might be the best team right now, but we'll wait and see. Either way, Debo wore his black Air Force Ones and gave it to the Eagles, and so that'll put the 49ers back in that tier. So, Kelsey, your call. We can start at the bottom, start at the top.
Let's start at the top here. And I want to go to the Ravens, and it's nothing to move them or anything like that. It's just, how many people have you heard talking about the Ravens this season in a positive light? Because I feel like there's not been many. I feel like this team
there's always a but accompanied by it.
Yeah, like I just feel like this team has snuck up here to being one of the strongest teams in the NFL and the strongest team in the AFC.
Sorry, I guess they're the 2nd seed right now. I guess Dolphins technically have it
Fair
for
enough.
some weird reason. But yeah, same thing, same record.
I mean, can you consider coming back from last year, like all the issues they had? You lose Mark Andrews. That's a huge miss. You get all sorts of offensive injuries. I mean, you start the season with J.K. Dobbins tearing his Achilles. Again. You know, like this team has fought back and gotten up here. So while I love them at Super Bowl teams, I will also throw this out here that you might consider a Harbaugh for Coach of the Year here. I mean,
not out of it.
I feel like he's just sneakily led this team to where they are. And you talk about the moves they made in last season, how they're paying off this year. It's obvious to see there. And that team is not a fun team to play against. And that defense is horrific for any opposing team. But they're not the only team up here that has a horrific defense as far as opposing teams go. The Niners, I don't want to see this defense fully rolling yet. We still haven't seen Chase Young fully integrated into this defense. And yes, they did lose their starting safety, but that's okay because there's still plenty of weapons on this defense. Let's not kid ourselves. But that does make me the Eagles, where all the great things about the Eagles the last year was their offensive running game and their defense. Right now, I have a lot of concerns about the defense, not necessarily the corners, but the center of that defense, the heart of that defense, the thing we've always known the Eagles to at least put out some pretty good guns. That's the linebackers. There's some rough situations there. Zach Cunningham might miss another week still. Hasn't been. We don't know if he's going to come back. Yeah, you got Shaq Leonard back, but how good is he actually going to be?
If you got Darius Leonard, this is a different story.
Yeah, I mean, this is a situation where his best asset was always his athleticism, and back-to-back back surgeries kind of messes that up. But I do like, I mean, look, this will be very clear. These three teams as Super Bowl teams, yes. Because right now you can toss a coin between the Eagles and the Niners as who's going to win that next matchup if they get matched up. Because let's not forget, the Niners have dropped a game here and there that they probably shouldn't drop. And the Eagles, well, they're an NFC East team, so we all know how that goes.
Well, I will say the Eagles, I think they're definitely missing the coordinators from last year as well, too. I think you could see
Yeah.
that in a lot of the play calling as well. You're like you can't run quarterback draw with Jalen Hurts every time something gets in a slight pinch. That can't be your saving grace. You have to mix in some of it. And defensively, we know our friend Jared likes to, on Jonathan Gannon plenty for good reason towards the end of the year, but during the heart of that season last year, that defense was rolling and he was scheming them up pretty decently. It wasn't just the players, it was the scheme and the players. So
Oh,
that
absolutely.
I think they're missing the coordinators a little bit right now.
Yeah, I think they're missing the coordinators. I also think, I hate to say it, but I think Chauncey Gardner-Johnson not being there is also an impact. And talking about a guy who has made fun of the guy many times on the show, I think he's also impacting them. But yeah, I mean, like that besides the case, they're still a Super Bowl team.
Yeah.
But I just want to move to contenders. Obviously, the Chiefs as contenders. Yes, they're not a Super Bowl team officially right now because you can't keep losing primetime games as the best team in the AFC with the best quarterback in the league right now. Notice
While
all of
scoring
that's
under
over
20
quotations.
points. Yeah.
With the best tight end in the league right now. Again, sorry, Travis Kelce. I love you, buddy, but your splits when Taylor Swift is at a game and when she's not at a game are obscene, and you need to figure it out.
Weirdly enough, she was there yet. She was there at the last one. He still only had like 5 catches or whatever it was, too. Even then, it wasn't that.
He had plus 70 yards. So that's the thing. Is plus 70 yards when she's there, minus 70 when she's not. I don't get it. It's going to be crazy. I mean, obviously now she's done with her 2023 leg of the Eras tour. I don't know why I know these things. This is just where we've gotten with this podcast now. But anyway, so she's a lot more available to be in attendance. So maybe the Chiefs go on a run here in December. But yeah, I mean, like you just can't keep losing the games they're losing. The Cowboys, I'm going to keep saying it. I'm still not sold on this Cowboys team. Deron Bland looked like Trayvon Diggs from 2 years ago. He makes a pick, gives up 1,000 yards and 2 touchdowns. 3 touchdowns to be exact. You can't do that. DK Metcalf made him look like a small child. Also, shout out DK Metcalf for learning sign language to talk smack. Super cool little asset to his game because he got tired of getting flagged too much. Anyways, the Lions, yes, absolutely up here. No concern anymore. Yes, they're going to lose one occasionally. I don't care. Unless they have a complete downfall of all downfalls, which I'm hoping they don't do because I've been on this bandwagon for 3 years now. They're there. The Dolphins, if you haven't watched the Hard Knocks in season yet for the Dolphins, go do so. The new episodes actually later on tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern time. So that'd be after you watch this episode. Go turn on Hard Knocks in season. Watch all
found
3.
the HBO marketing gig is your side gig now. Got it.
I'm a big Mike McDaniels fan. Even more so now. He just super nerd, super hilarious, super fun. That team is built to win, and all the hardships they've gone through. We forget they lost Jalen Phillips right for the season. That's not the only guy they've lost for the season, as you've seen. There's been a whole lot more now. So it's been a tough break for them, but they're still fighting through it. That offense is still freakish, and Tyreek Hill, despite tweaking his ankle, is still on pace for 2,000 plus yards. Absolutely insane. Florida teams without a quarterback. I'm going to move past this list because I have a lot to say about Florida State, but also Trevor Lawrence. I just hope you get back for a Super Bowl. That's it. In playoffs, but concerns, Falcons, all the concerns in the world. Steelers, arguably, I'd make the same case I made earlier for the Ravens. You look at Tomlin, and you probably have a coach of the year candidate there as well. I mean, despite the fact that Matt Canada had that offense doing nothing, he had that defense rolling well. So yeah, I mean, Matt Canada and the Steelers somehow still up here, somehow still in contention. You know what? Maybe we'll see offense now that Pickett's not there. Maybe we'll see Trace McSorley and his super song just tear up teams now. Yeah, well, I don't know. We'll see. Vikings, Josh Dobbs. I mean, okay. Like at this point, until Jay Jettis gets healthy, I've always just put an asterisk next to losses right now. Because Josh Dobbs, I mean, he was able to win a couple games, and then he lost one. But he lost 2. But didn't have Jay Jettis in those 2. He didn't have Jay Jettis in the wins either, but he was able to win 2. So he's 500 right now without Jay Jettis. So let's see what he gets with Jay Jettis.
Can't have him throw 4 picks in. Can't have that, though.
Yeah, no, we can't have that. But you know what? That's okay. Coach of the year, all the loudest to these 2. I've loved D'Amico Ryans as that coach to the Texans. I called that earlier on in the offseason before he got hired. I said he would be a great fit. He could give you something to rally around, and you might surprise some folks. I didn't think he's going to surprise folks by being a playoff contender. Let me be very clear. When they got C.J. Stroud, when they got Will Anderson, I was like, those are great picks. they'll pan out really well in 2-3 years. They might give you some 4 wins this season. No, they're well past that now.
When they get pan out in 2 to 3 minutes.
Yeah, this team is absolutely fantastic. As far as what they're able to do with the talent they have. You hate seeing Tank Dell leave. That does bring me some concern for the future of this team because Tank Dell has been an unsung hero. He is leading all rookie wide receivers in receiving right now. Well, up until his injury last week. So yeah, I mean, yeah. Shout out to the Texans. On the flip side of things, the Colts, your quarterback who you drafted in the first round gets injured, and you're stuck with a Gardner as your second stringer, and he is just seems to be raking the leaves right in the right path and this leading this offense right where it needs to go. It's good to see.
And your star running back who you paid, you've had for a total of like 8 quarters, basically,
Yeah.
on top of it. So you've been doing it with a guy that the Bills jettisoned for a 6th-round pick last year.
Yeah, it was a fantastic running back in college.
Technically
Underrated
rushing
Zach Moss. And just, yeah, I mean, shout out Zach Moss. Alec Pierce playing 97% of the snaps on the offense, unsung in the run game blocking wise. I would have never thought Alec Pierce would be the blocking receiver that he is, but he is a fantastic blocker right now. Yeah, there's a lot to be proud of. And the offensive line for the Colts have turned it around. That's, from last year to this year, that's probably been the biggest thing is that offensive line figuring it out, despite the injuries also.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, coach of the year for both coaches for sure. If you could have a co-coach of the year, I wouldn't be surprised. And it would just fuel the rivalry that is the Texans and the Colts. Let's be honest. If you don't think it's a rivalry, don't kid yourself. T.Y. Hilton, he built Houston. Anyways.
He did build NRG Stadium. That's true. That's when it became a rivalry once they started construction.
Yeah, Frisky, I got really no comments about all these guys. These guys are all good. They let you down at the wrong times. Although, shout out Matt LaFleur, undefeated in the month of December, continues that still. Shocking since he's been a head coach since 2018. I did not know that, and they said it during the game. I was like, oh, he's going to lose this game. It's going to be Patty's going to come back. No. Matt LaFleur is undefeated in December. However, he is only 500 in January. So take that for what it's worth. So Green Bay, if you're going to make your run, make it now. LA, I don't know what to make of this team week in and week out. Plain and simple. The Broncos, I don't know what to make of this team week in and week out. The Bills, I don't know what to make of this team quarter to quarter. Like, this team is quarter to quarter for me with the Bills. I just don't get it at all. I don't know if Josh is over there texting Haley Steinfeld on the sideline and she sends him a happy message one quarter and she doesn't respond by the next quarter. I don't know what's going on. But Josh, you got to figure it out, man. Some quarters you're great, some quarters you're awful. Shocking. Yeah, not Frisky. The Buccaneers still have a chance, yet they're not eliminated, and yet they don't look great. Their run game's pitiful. Their passing game is not great. I don't know. Baker's also still playing through another injury, so we'll see how he finishes out the season. Chargers talk about playing through injuries outside of Keenan Allen. This receiving core is pretty rough. Quentin Johnston is awful for a first-round draft pick. And no offense to him. But if he's a fourth-round draft pick, I'm not expecting much from him. First-round draft pick, considering what's around him, yeah, you got to do better. Yeah, that's all I got to say about that. The Raiders, same situation. The Chargers, injuries. You don't even have a head coach technically. Your head coach your acting head coach is doing well. He's doing what he can, but this team just has too many holes, and you're starting to finally see that. However, you did fleece the Patriots for Jacoby Myers, so congratulations. I don't know how you did that. I didn't know how he was even a good NFL receiver until this year. So congratulations on finding a diamond in the rough from a Bill Belichick jettisoned player. Never thought those words would come out of my mouth that Bill Belichick jettisoned a diamond in the rough. Speaking of diamonds in the rough, the Cardinals. Did not think I'd say those words this season, but here they are. Surprisingly, taking yourself out of a first overall pick, getting yourself in the top 5, maybe pushing yourself into 5 through 10 here if you're not careful. Meanwhile, the Bengals looking rough around some diamonds. I mean, they have diamonds on their team, but they are not pretty. There are definitely some frauds amongst this team, and we'll have to figure out. I don't even know if Zach Taylor has a job this year. After this year, and I'm saying that knowing full well, yes, he was just in the Super Bowl recently. But doesn't excuse some of the play calling I've seen, doesn't excuse everything you've seen from that offense this season. Yes, Joe Burrow in and out of the lineup, been injured, now he's out for the season. This is what happens when you rush him back. I said this in the beginning of the season. Don't rush him back. Let him take 2-3 weeks, get healthy. He didn't do that. This is what happens. The Bears, I don't know what to make of the Bears at all.
You got 2 top 10 picks, so there's that, and you probably got number 1 overall. So
I think
it's
they
fun.
realized like they're playing themselves out of some top tier talent, and they were just like, Justin, calm down. I know you want to go beat the hell out of these teams. DJ Moore, calm down. I know you want to go win again for the first time in your career, but we can get better talent and win next 5 years if we just lose this year. And they were like, oh, all right. That's all you had to say. You're still going to pay me, right? Yep. All right, cool. Here we are. Obviously, Justin being injured throughout most of this run does change some things. But yeah, I mean, like, still, the Bears are what they are. Worse. Yeah, I don't know if it can get much worse. Oh, wait. Yes, it does. The Patriots continue to get worse. And the Panthers. I don't, no words for the Panthers. Patriots. I knew you were going to be bad. I didn't think it was going to be this bad. This is awful. No offensive line to speak for. The defense that we thought was going to be good, atrocious.
Killed it.
Well, I can't say that because for 3 straight weeks they held an opponent under 10 points, and yet they've lost all 3 weeks because their offense can't score. So first time in NFL history that's ever happened. So yeah, shout out the Patriots offense for just completely sucking.
And missing your 2 best defense players, arguably too. Still not missing a beat there, but you can't even cross the 50. It doesn't do you a whole lot of good.
It was like watching the Alabama LSU game from, what was that, 2012?
I think it was 2011. Yeah, because they rematched in the championship game where they actually scored points.
Yeah. The first game, nobody crossed the 50. So yeah, it was awful. So yeah, I mean, I agree with everything on this list. I don't really have any arguments anywhere. Will Levis made the play of the season last week. Shout out Will Levis. So maybe that's not the worst thing I've ever seen. Maybe it still could. No, it can still be worse.
Maybe he shouldn't be yelling at DeAndre Hopkins when he throws the ball 6 yards out of bounds a few plays later. Like maybe jump on that one. But I mean, a little less mayo in the coffee. Try some Miracle Whip.
Yeah, but at this point in time, I have nothing. I mean, at this point, just forget Miracle Whip. Just go get some frosting, like just some whip topping in there. Make it somewhat sweet. Maybe you'll stop being so sour as a quarterback.
You know, it couldn't hurt at this point. As long as he doesn't start putting cottage cheese or something absolutely disgusting in there. That's when he crosses the line. That's when he goes to federal prison. But here's what we're looking at for this week on Tier Tuesdays, everyone. Let us know what you think, what you'd change, and where you move things around. Be sure to tune into our live cast on Wednesday or check it out on any of your favorite places to catch podcasts after Wednesday night. Appreciate you all for joining us, and we will see you all again next time.